another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died. He rose again. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. So, the 1993 NBA Finals, okay? Bulls won the series 4-2. And there were a couple of storylines that came out through the finals. Let's start with game one. The pregame NBA or NBC were Czar, Marv, and Magic. Magic talked about the friendship aspect of Jordan and Barkley. And he talked about, and Magic flashed back to a time where he met, where the Pistons played the Lakers in the '88 finals, and people were watching, his teammates were watching to see if he would knock Isaiah down coming to the basket. He actually did that in Detroit. He actually knocked Isaiah out of the air. So Magic made the point that people were probably going to be paying attention to the friendship aspect of Jordan and Barkley. And Jordan and Barkley Barkley said they were going to play golf together. Jordan and Barkley said that, okay? The Phoenix Suns came out shaky. They fell behind by 20 points in game one. And the Suns came back, made it a game, but they never led the whole game, okay? So the Bulls ended up winning 192. And Kevin Johnson didn't have a good game one. And so game two comes around. The Phoenix Suns are a lot more competitive, but Kevin Johnson is still struggling, okay? And so this is what had happened. This is what Paul Westphal did. Rest in peace, Paul. This is what Paul Westphal did when Kevin Johnson was struggling in game two. Here it is.
That'll be 4 p.m. Pacific. Game 3 in Chicago on Sunday. Game 4 next Wednesday at Chicago. A minute 45 remaining third quarter. The Bulls at 1 point in the first half, led by as many as 14. Phoenix closing in the second quarter with that 10-2 run. Bulls able to extend the lead here in the third. And again, the Suns have managed to come back.
Magic, is this a tough call right now? You got your point guard, Kevin Johnson, who's on the bench. The team is making the run without him. How long do you leave him there before all of a sudden you're concerned about, have we hurt somebody's feelings? And is he going to have his head down because he's not in the game?
You can't worry about feelings. You can't worry about anything. The team is playing better with him being on the bench. You got to leave Frank Johnson out there because this crowd is into it. The momentum is in Phoenix Suns' hand right now. So, hey, forget feelings. We got to win this game. That's what Paul Westphal is saying.
Yeah. He benched Kevin Johnson. He benched Kevin Johnson for 34-year-old Frank Johnson, okay? Imagine that, okay? Your all-star point guard who isn't playing well, and you bench him for a 34-year-old Frank Johnson who actually came in and played well. Frank Johnson actually came in and played well in game one and in game two. So here it is. Kevin Johnson gets benched in game two, right? And here comes Frank Johnson playing well again. 34-year-old Frank Johnson, okay? Playing better than Kevin Johnson. Multiple-time All-Star, okay? So eventually Paul Westphal puts Kevin Johnson back in, okay? And the Bulls come down on a fast break situation. And Jordan got a and one. And Kevin Johnson picked up his fourth foul. And Magic pointed this out during the broadcast. He felt that Paul Westphal was using that as an excuse to bench Kevin Johnson again. Okay. Here it is.
And we know already who is the better is going to have to execute here in their half court if they're going to win this game.
And Frank Johnson has come on for Kevin Johnson. Frank Johnson played well earlier. Kevin Johnson again has been ineffective. Frank Johnson, though, called for the foul. B.J. Armstrong in game 1, 16 points. Kevin Johnson had 11. And tonight, B.J.'s hit a couple of big buckets here in the fourth quarter, but Kevin Johnson just has not done it.
And Marv, he's upset too. Kevin Johnson is upset that he's not in this game, especially at winning time. This is winning time. He used to be an all-star, a veteran, so you know he's not happy.
Tippett for Williams, and he's fouled. Hard foul given by Barkley. Yes, you have the idea that Paul Westphal wanted to pull Kevin Johnson, use the excuse of the fourth foul to get him out of there. But as you say, Kevin is not happy about it.
No question about it. It's going to be, if Phoenix does not win this game, something is going to come about with this decision here. So hopefully they can rally together and won't have a problem. But we got a lot of basketball to play. They're only down 6, that being the Phoenix Suns, so there's still much in this game.
Scott Williams, 1 for 3 from the line. And the Bulls having the difficulties at the line, but
Yeah. So, Magic felt that Paul Westphal was using Kevin Johnson's fourth foul as a excuse to bench Kevin Johnson. Then in comes Frank Johnson again. Okay, so Kevin Johnson got benched one time, and probably got benched the second time too. Yeah, probably got benched the second time too. I say probably because I don't fully know if Paul Westphal took him out because of his fourth foul, but I probably do believe that he was benched twice. Okay, think about that. You get benched twice. Now, eventually, Kevin Johnson did come back into the game. Okay, but as Magic Johnson pointed out, KJ wasn't happy being benched again. Okay, yeah, KJ wasn't happy being benched again. Right. Okay, so we move on to game 3. Bulls go up 2-0. Scottie Pippen has a key block. He blocks Danny Ainge's 3-point attempt in game 2. Okay, Bulls are up 2-0. So we go to game 3, and B.J. Armstrong had pretty much been locking down Kevin Johnson. And Michael Jordan had this to say about B.J. Armstrong.
came on very strong at the end of the regular season. He has had an excellent playoff run. It took a while for B.J. to gain the confidence of Michael Jordan and the rest of his teammates when he was inserted into the starting lineup earlier this season. It was not readily accepted, but it is a different story now, and we talked about that with Michael Jordan.
I think B.J., like most college players coming to this level, want to be a star. They want to be noticed. They want to score. They want to be known as a scorer. I think most of the people realize that if you score a lot of points, you get a lot of recognition. But I think from success come his way, but he had to be patient. We had to do it within the team. I think he's accepted that role to a point where it's made us a much better team, and now he's getting the recognition that he certainly deserves.
B.J. Armstrong, first-round draft pick of the Bulls back in '89, in his 4th year out of Iowa. And the jump controlled by the Bulls. They've hit their last 4 shots. They lead 23-19.
So when B.J. replaced John Paxson earlier in the season, replaced John Paxson in the starting lineup, Jordan didn't accept it. Pippen didn't accept it. Grant didn't accept it. Probably Bill Cartwright didn't accept it. Okay. But it's a long season. Okay. It's a long season. And eventually it was Jordan began to come around. Cartwright, Grant, Pippen began to come around. Okay. And B.J. Armstrong, he played well He played well during the first 2 games. He played well in game 3. And lo and behold, B.J. Armstrong is a NBA All-Star the next year. Okay? Yeah. So B.J. Armstrong came of B.J. Armstrong really began to come into his own in 1993, especially in the 93 playoffs, where he had to lock down guys like Mark Price, Terrell Brandon, Kevin Johnson. Okay? So he really came into his own during the 93 postseason. Another storyline coming out of the hat was game 2. Okay? So many people remember Michael Jordan's flu game. 38 points. Hit the game-winning 3. Okay? By the way, I meant to do a video on that. It just came to my mind now. If I can remember, I'll do who a video on that. Anyway, so everybody remembers the flu game. Okay, 38 points, game-winning 3. But I don't think anybody remembers the heat exhaustion game. Okay, what do I say when I mean the heat exhaustion game? Well, let me tell you. Okay, Michael Jordan loves to play golf, and around the summer months of June, Phoenix, the whole state of Arizona is like a sauna, and it was 105 degrees in Phoenix. Okay. And Michael Jordan played golf in 105 degree weather. And we'll just let Phil Jackson tell the story of what happened. Here it is.
One assist away from a triple-double. And Phil Jackson revealed to us just moments before the game that Michael was not exactly feeling 100% on Friday.
Going into Friday's game, I thought Mike was going to be maybe unable to play a lot of minutes. He had headaches. The doctor was looking at him for heat exhaustion or for some migraine potential headaches before that game. Gave him a heavy dose of Tylenol. That wasn't working. He went out in the court and said he felt better once he started playing and once he started getting into warm-ups. But we were quite concerned. He had to stop the shoot-around during the morning. And yet, somehow or other, he found the energy. From whence it comes, I don't know, that he has. And only he has had that kind of energy of any player I've ever seen to fulfill a game, and not only that, but just finish a game as well as he did.
I asked Phil, was it perhaps the pressure from all the off-the-court publicity, the Atlantic City journey during the Knicks series, or the book that was released concerning his golf betting? He said, well, he played too much golf in Phoenix under 105-degree temperature, and perhaps that's how he got the headache.
Yeah, so it could have been heat exhaustion, headaches, migraines. Michael said when he started the game, he felt better, and that's why Michael is the GOAT. Okay, so Michael is the GOAT. Imagine playing golf in 105-degree weather. You possibly have heat exhaustion, headaches. Phil Jackson has to stop the practice or shoot around, okay? And still come out and score 42 points, okay? Greatness, okay? And so the last thing I'll touch on about how his series is, second to last thing is, after the Phoenix Suns won game 3 in triple overtime, the teams only had 1 day in between travel, okay? Game 2 was played on Friday, okay? And game 3 was played on Sunday. So the teams only had like 1 day in between travel. And Suns won 129-121 in triple overtime. And I think the best thing to happen for the two teams was they had 2 days off before game 4. They had Tuesday and Wednesday off, okay? And so, obviously, the players got some rest. Michael Jordan played golf. But Charles Barkley and Frank Johnson actually went to a Chicago Cubs baseball game in between in the days off that they had Tuesday and Wednesday. I mean Monday and Tuesday, okay? Charles Barkley and Frank Johnson went to a Chicago Cubs baseball game, okay? But Paul Westphal had told them to have fun at the finals, okay? And that's what they were doing. Charles Barkley, Frank Johnson go to a baseball game. Charles Barkley was joking around with Magic, Marv, and Mike in the pre-game, okay? So the last point I'll make is I'm going to bring it back to what Magic Johnson talked about at the beginning of the series in Game 1. Friendship, okay? Magic pointed this out many times that there was too much friendship in the series. Well, I think Magic felt that this series began to feel like a real series when this had happened in Game 4. Here it is.
Getting back. The lead for Pippen. 11 seconds left in the quarter, and Johnson went down in a collision with Armstrong.
No collision, Marv. BJ pushed him down. There's a little thing going on here. I think that BJ felt that KJ had elbowed him. After that, BJ just threw him down on the ground.
KJ tries to hold off to get the ball inbounds when they start pressuring Chicago. BJ felt that him holding off was a little too hard. He shoved him in the head. There's the push to the ground. That's no accident.
And it's being called a flagrant foul on B.J. Armstrong. So Kevin Johnson will go to the line. Kevin Johnson, 82% free throw shooter. Now Trent Tucker has checked in for Bill Cartwright.
The offensive man wants a little room to get it inbounds. The defensive man doesn't like the fact that he pushed him in the head. Another example of when the second foul is caught many times by the officials, not the first.
Just taking another look, little massage move by Kevin Johnson, leading after one here in Chicago. Hot shooting by the Bulls, 15 for 24, 63%. A physical finish to the quarter for B.J. Armstrong, an unlikely combatant.
Yeah. So that's what Magic thought. It became a series, okay? And there were a number of confrontations that took place in that game, not just between B.J. Armstrong and Kevin Johnson, okay? There was a confrontation that took place between Danny Ainge and Michael Jordan right before the end of the first half. Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen got into a little confrontation in the third quarter, okay? And then Michael Jordan and Danny Ainge got into another confrontation at some point during the game, okay? And that's when Magic kind of felt like, this is a series now. This is a series. Is he heating up? The series I come and expect it to be. And Magic Johnson made the point like, see, you can't be friends. There was too much friendship in this series. You can't be friends. They're all going for something that they want, and that's that diamond ring, okay? So Magic pointed that out. There was way too much friendship. In Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, and early part of Game 4. But Magic felt it officially became a series when B.J. Armstrong pushed Kevin Johnson. Okay, so, yeah. So I think the friendship pretty much ended. Friendship aspect of the series pretty much ended when B.J. Armstrong pushed Kevin Johnson. So, yeah. All right, that's it. And that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am out of here.